Welcome to episode 10 of Marathon Talk, powered by Abbott World Marathon Majors. On this week's show, we'll be taking a look at the TCS London Marathon Elite Fields for April, and they are stacked. And one of our favourite cult running heroes will be there too. We look at how much training you can miss in a marathon build-up, and we look ahead to a massive record-breaking field of 6-star finishers in Tokyo. Plus, Deena talks to the incredible Mary Ngugi about her stellar road running career and the work she's doing for women in Kenya. Right, let's go.
Hi, Martin. Good to see you.
You too. How are you? All right?
Great. The last time we talked, it was your mom's birthday and you were taking her to the theater. How did it go?
Well, it's always good to go to the theatre with your mum. Look, that was a good thing. I enjoyed celebrating my mum's birthday with her, but the show was rubbish.
No.
Is that bad? Should I say that out loud? So I'm not going to say anything else about what we went to see or when we went to see it, because that might embarrass, not that they'll be listening. But yeah, I took my mum to the theatre and it was long, very slow, really difficult to watch, really complicated. And I looked at my mum about 45 minutes in and she nodded off.
She fell asleep in the theater?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that good. She fell asleep. One of the problems was that the characters played, there were a limited number of characters, probably 6, in the whole play, but there was more than 6 roles in the play. So the characters played multiple roles. So they kept coming off and on and off and on as something else. And sometimes the only thing they had on different was like a jacket or a pair of glasses or something like that. And so really quickly, it got really confusing. And they were jumping backwards and forwards in time. And I must admit, you know, it was a bit lost.
Oh, yeah.
I was a bit lost and my mum was asleep. So there we go.
Too complicated. Way too complicated. Did she get birthday cake at least?
She got birthday cake before we went. And you're right, it was too complicated. It was a bit like... It was a bit like watching Parent Trap with my nan about 25 years ago. You remember the film Parent Trap with the 2 twins?
I loved that movie.
Yep. And I can remember sitting there with my nan, and my nan just looked at me and went, "This is terribly complicated."
Oh.
She couldn't follow Parent Trap because she kept getting the girls confused because they were doing different things with the parents and that. And like watching this play was a little bit like that.
Yes.
But with my mum who fell asleep. Anyway.
You gave her like a little elbow in the side to wake her up. And that elbow with all the strength work you promised to be doing in the last 2 weeks. I notice you're filling out your shirt a little bit more. So how's weightlifting going?
It's going slowly. I have done a tiny bit. In fact, since we last spoke, I've been doing a few sets on the of benching on the deck outside where I've got like a rusty old bar. And a few more press-ups, but not enough. Just not enough focus and structure. Not enough intent, Deena.
Okay, I'm going to check in again in a couple of weeks. I'll check in again and see if you're on top of it a little more. I'm going to hold you accountable, buddy.
Don't. This is like, for those of you listening to the show this week, imagine the pressure I'm feeling now. Deena Castor saying to me, "I'm checking in about your training."
Yeah.
Like, this is, my world has just suddenly got more intense.
Yeah. And my conversation with Mary in this episode, she talks about the importance of teamwork and her teammates holding her accountable. So that's what I am for you right now. I'm just holding you accountable to all of your goals you're aspiring to hit.
Oh, okay. I'll do my best. I've got to, got to get a bit more motivated. I have done some running though. Do you know what a royal flush is?
I only know from listening to Marathon Talk.
So a royal flush is a progressive paced run, trying to run each mile or kilometre faster than the previous one. So I tried to do that on a couple of days ago. I was working in London at some events for the London Marathon, hosting a Q&A with some media on the Thursday night, and then we went for a run as well around London. Very busy, too busy for me. And then on the Saturday, I did this thing called Meet Our Experts, which is where all the charities get together and ask questions. And I do a little talk there. But because I was staying, I could run along the Thames. So I thought, well, let's try this progressive pace run. And I did 5 miles in one direction, turned around and ran 5 miles back and tried to run each mile quicker than the next.
Was it rewarding? Did you feel good?
Well, I liked it. I failed, by the way. I didn't manage it. Do you know which one I mucked up?
No.
The last one.
Okay. Well, that's
So
good.
I did all 9 and then didn't hit the last one.
Right. But you can't do everything perfectly the first time. It's going to get you out again to try to get that last mile under pace. So that's good. That's really good.
I'll repeat the session. You should try it.
Okay.
Like, it's probably really hard where you live, isn't it? But just because of the terrain. Do you have like a flat-ish sort of circuit, maybe 5 miles or 10 miles where you could go, right, I am going to try and run each mile faster now?
Absolutely. We have long roads, they're kind of rolling, but you can get in a good effort in that way. It's where we do most of our tempo style runs here. So that would be the perfect challenge to check in on me next episode.
Have you ever done that? You know where this is going.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that session?
No. So we do like marathon simulation. So we'll do 10 miles easy and then a 10-mile progression run. And that's like our 20-mile, like big marathon build-up day. So I've done it sort of, but not actually.
Yeah, but I mean, doing it with the 10 miles before it must be torture. I can barely do it without the 10 miles.
Right. But marathons are torture. You got to like get to that place of struggle and fatigue and then know you have done it before. You've blown through that. And I think we don't give ourselves enough credit. We are capable of doing so much. And those little signs that tell us to slow down or stop are just recommendations. We got to keep going.
So I'm intrigued about that little session before I ask you about what you've been doing. How fast would you run when you say you're going to run easy, that 10 miles? And so then what does that mean for the first mile of the progressive pace run? Like, because for me, if I get that first couple of miles wrong pace-wise, because I don't want to do them too slowly. So I'm not going to like roll out, minutes between the miles. I'm trying to run them relatively close together. But if you get one early mile wrong, it detonates the rest of the session because you've got to keep trying to load it. So how fast is the 10 miles? And then what does that mean for the first mile of the progressive pace run?
Yeah. And I haven't done these in a long time, but my 10 miles prior might be 7:30 pace. And then I might start that progression at 7-minute miles and then try to bring it down as close to race pace, which at the time was 5 minutes, 20 seconds per mile. So you try to get as close as you can, but I think it really teaches you emotional control in the beginning of that 10-mile progressive part of the run so that you don't get in over your head, because if you do, you sabotage the rest of the workout. So it really does bring that marathon mentality into place, just really controlling that first mile or two so you can start chipping away.
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it. How not to sabotage like your best long run.
Yep.
Because if you can nail that session, and you can do the last 3 miles at 5:35, in your case, in your scenario, we're not by any means suggesting that everybody goes and tries this, but imagine, knocking out 5:35, 5:20, and then finishing with a 5:10, you'd feel rocket.
Right. But it was also a sense of butchering it sometimes and putting yourself in check. Okay, I made that mistake here in practice. I won't make that mistake on race day. So it was an important mastery, but if I didn't master it, it still taught me a lesson and taught me what I shouldn't be doing on race day.
So I'll challenge you then. You can hold me accountable to my strength work, and I'm going to hold you accountable to see if you can deliver that 10-mile session.
Game on, Martin.
I started around about 7, I can't remember, maybe 7:30. My first mile might have been a bit slow, maybe 8 minutes, and the second one was 7:20 or something like that, and I went forward from there.
That's impressive.
So there you go.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can do it that fast. I might have to start a little slower.
Yeah, you can't sandbag before you've even let it go.
I'm already making excuses for myself. Oh no. But check in on me.
Anyway, I will do. So, what's been exciting you? How are you?
I'm well. My conversation with Mary Ngugi really stuck with me. This episode really stuck with me. I learned so much from her. She's so inspiring, and it had me thinking just how the lives she's changing in Kenya. Here she is in her own career, trying to make the best of her own career, but her purpose is bigger than just her own striving. And so she's doing so much for women in Kenya. And it made me think, well, you and with Stormbreak, you put so much energy and time into making sure people get that connection between mental and physical health. And here in the United States, I just had the privilege of talking to Mike Nishi. He's the Chicago Marathon head of operations. His daughter is 17 years old and just ran the Houston Marathon. It was her senior project to prepare for and run a marathon. And she did it in Houston. And she's the product of a program here called Girls on the Run that doesn't just build runners. They build girls into women, giving them confidence and discipline. And it's just such an amazing program. And it just made me think that these programs are so vital in young lives so that they can have those tools not just for sport, but for life itself. And they grow up. Nora, Mike Nishi's daughter, speaks fluent German. She plays the piano. She wants to go to university in Germany when she graduates from high school. So just this such structure and value. Just, I guess, I don't know where I'm going with this, but maybe for our listeners, if you have a young child, find a program that makes that mind-body connection, because it really does build our youth into beautiful human beings.
And I love the fact that you said the interview with Mary made you consider whether you're doing your best work. Like, what a lovely thing am I doing my best work? And I think it's complicated is the answer, isn't it? Because what does best work mean? What are the constraints within which you have to work in? What are the opportunities that you can create? But just the concept of, am I doing my best work? Am I enriching the lives of other people around me? And then what you said was, am I working towards something which is greater than me?
Absolutely.
And those are big questions, aren't they?
Right. And it gives, like, every day we give a lot, and it makes me think, am I giving enough for the greater good, right? Is this the energy I want to give to reach the most amount of people that can be touched by this? Because there's so many mental health problems in the world, and I don't know, maybe it's the new year and I'm looking for that inspiration, and it seems to be everywhere right now. So I'm trying to build that within me so I can maximize what I'm doing. It was a great interview. It really struck me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to listening. But before we do, shall we get on with talking about, London and Tokyo and some other things?
Yeah, because there's so much to talk about with the fields that London put together. My goodness.
Right, it is the TCS London Marathon on Sunday, April the 23rd. And just this past week, they lifted the lid on their elite fields. And wow, they are deep. They have not disappointed with London. London does have this rich history of producing, some amazing elite races. I'll talk a little bit about, the men, and then perhaps, we'll talk together about that and the women and go from there. So in the men, 4 of the 5 fastest men in history will be on the start line, including Kenenisa Bekele and Kelvin Kiptum, who are the only athletes, other than, of course, Eliud Kipchoge, to boast a PB under 2 hours and 2 minutes. Kipchoge isn't going to be in London, but Berhanu Legesse and Mosenet Geremu are. Berhanu's got a PB of 2:02:48 and Mosenet Geremyu, along with defending champion Amos Kipruto, he's back, and then world champion Tamarit Tola. That is a stellar field. Jeffrey Kamworo's also in the field. He's won New York twice. Haven't even mentioned Mo Farah yet, and Mo is in the field. Of course, he doesn't have the kind of PB to rival those 202 guys. He does have a 205.11 personal best, which is also the British record that he ran back in 2018, I think, when he won Bank of America Chicago Marathon. He is going to be back in the roads on London, but there's a little bit of Mo that says it might be his last race. Could be his last race. There's a few other Brits in the field, quite exciting too. Probably the most exciting for me of the Brits is Emil Keres. He's making his debut. He ran so strongly at the European Cross Country Champs. I'm really excited to see how he can get on. Of course, we mustn't forget Chris Thompson, winner of the Olympic trials. He's run 2:10. He's getting a bit old now, he won't mind me saying. See if he can produce that kind of form again. Stellar fields all round though, Deena.
It's just insane. And even with all the names they threw at us in their press release to let us know the field that they put together, I would think Mo Farah is going to be the crowd favorite, the sentimental favorite, especially if it's a farewell run, right? You reckon the same thing?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's going to be a super, super exciting event, loaded at the top end, but also right throughout the field. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I also feel that when people throw out retirement, I don't know if he's retiring or this is just his last London, but it's such a good feeling because they're surrounded by media and the story's sensational and they wave goodbye at the finish line. And you see their backs as they walk away from the sport. And my gosh, it feels so good. They come back again and say, oh, you know what? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to retire. I like this way too much. This felt way too good. So maybe we haven't seen the last of Mo Farah when he crosses that London finish line, but we'll be cheering for him nonetheless.
And it's 11 women who have PBs faster than 2:20. I mean, insane. That's brilliant. It's going to be epic.
Yes, on the women's side, they are dubbing it the Battle of the Best, and it is quite a field. Yalemzer Fuhala is the reigning London Marathon champion. Defending that title will not be easy because world record holder Bridget Koske is also in the race. Tigist Assefa, the Berlin Marathon champion, who ran 2:15 to win Berlin last year. It was an 18-minute personal best to win the Berlin Marathon. If we can all have a learning curve like that, we would be celebrating personal best every time we get out there. There's also Olympic marathon champion Paris Jepchirchir, Alma Zayana, the Olympic champion in the 10,000 meters, and Safan Hassan, the double gold medalist from the Tokyo Olympics in the 5 and 10,000, will be making her marathon debut, as is Eilish McColgan, who 30 years after her mother won the London Marathon is going to be towing the line in her marathon debut. It's going to be an exciting day.
I mean, of course, I'm really sort of biased, but I'm looking forward to Eilish's run. That kind of debut. She's been in such good form on the roads. Missed out debuting. So, it's going to be pretty exciting to watch that. Wheelchair fields are super strong as well. I mean, one of the most spectacular races to watch. And Yuki Kawauchi's back. He's running London for the first time. I didn't realize. I actually thought Yuki had run London in the past. So I haven't seen him do a major for a while, not performing with any kind of, I guess, the capacity, potential that he's capable of. But he's running London. I don't know what he'll do. He'll be joining you, though, as a 6-star finisher.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm not sure what kind of shape he is in as far as being up with that insane lead pack of stars that we've already rattled off. But when he passes that finish line, he will become a 6-star finisher. So an exciting day in London for sure on both the men's and women's side. Just an insane lineup. And speaking of 6-star finishers, Tokyo Marathon will be the scene of an official Guinness World Record for the most 6-star finishers in a single marathon. The current number is 3,000 registered 6-star finishers. And when you think of 3,000 6-star finishers, that's 10% of the entire Tokyo Marathon field. So pretty exciting to be a 6-star finisher this year in Tokyo.
In 2023, we've been including each show a short segment about some training advice specifically on helping you get ready for a spring marathon. Last episode, we spoke all about the seasons of a spring marathon build-up and getting into a routine in January and making some progress rather patiently in February and learning to go longer and getting a bit more specific with your pace in March, and then refining and reducing and really being ready in April. And this week, we're going to be taking a lead from something we saw in Runner's World around the impact of missing a chunk of training in your marathon build-up, because it can be a real problem. It can really impact your perceptions of the condition at which you're going to arrive at marathon day. And missing training is something no runner wants to do when they are head down into a marathon build-up. We know that getting ready for a marathon is never easy, right? It's always full of ups and downs. Stuff kind of gets in the way and injuries can happen and you miss days here and there. What happens though if you do miss a massive chunk of training, perhaps consecutively? Runner's World wrote a great piece on researchers at the University College Dublin who have done a paper in Frontiers in Sports and Active Living looking at Strava uploads by runners who completed over 500,000 marathons between 2014 and 2017. They identified nearly 44,000 runners who completed a marathon following a period of disrupted training that they define as at least 7 consecutive days missed during the 12 weeks prior to the race. So you're defining a disruption to your training as missing at least a week of consecutive training. And then these clever people worked out the performance cost of long training disruptions as the percentage of difference between their disrupted and undisrupted marathon times. And here is what they found. If runners missed 7 to 13 days of training, so that's kind of 1 to 2 weeks during a 12-week build-up, they ran 4.25% slower than when they'd not experienced a training disruption of more than 6 days. Now, if they missed 14 to 20 days of training, their marathon times increased by over 6%. And if they missed 21 to 27 days, mind you, that is nearly a quarter or so, a fifth of training, their finish times increased by roughly 7.5%. If they missed more than 28 days, it went to over 8%. Deena, that's putting some numbers on missing training, isn't it?
It is. And, I've been in this category before, maybe not missing 28 days of training, but maybe 7 to 13 days of training. I always thought it was in my head, oh, it's not really that big of a deal to miss a week of training. But think of all the things that life throws at you: injury, illness, travel, misscheduling. It's so significant. So I was crunching these numbers when I saw it because I'm like, okay, I want to run a sub 3-hour marathon, right? That's my goal. And if I miss 14 consecutive days of training, that's a 6% deficit in my marathon time, which now brings my marathon to 3:10. And guess what? If you are a slower runner, it's going to cause more of a deficit. So this study really hit home to me. It's like the numbers telling you this isn't a head game. This isn't like mental fortitude. I'm going to just push on and be strong and hit my time. These numbers are kind of scary to me.
Yeah, mind you, I think for me, I always had this rough ballpark, right, where I felt Okay, if you miss, in my coaching, if I was working with someone and I felt like they could miss a week, and if they missed a week, it wouldn't have that much of an impact. Now here, it's like 6+ days, right? 6 consecutive days. So we can make the assumption, therefore, that if you miss less than, 6 days, that goes down, right? So it goes the other way. It would be less than 4.2%, which if you miss 7 to 13 days, you're going to miss roughly 4% of training are going to slow. So if you miss less than a week, you're gonna potentially risk less than 4% of decline. So missing a week, well, you can get away with that. But then missing 2 weeks, I was like, okay, that's a problem. That is going to cost you something. 2 consecutive weeks. Now, interestingly, I was a little bit surprised at this. The results showed a greater finish time cost for males than females. So 5% slower for men, 3.5% for women. I reckon that's just because men are a bit soft and they crack. They must, they just feel like.
I was thinking the same thing. Oh, there's the mental thing that I was thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, well, I haven't done as much training as I'm going to do. And then they all kind of fluff it up and go a bit slower. Whereas the women think, well, it's only a couple of sessions, and they just grit their teeth and get on with it.
That's too funny. Well, it's very. They also said that when the disruption happens closer to the marathon, that it's a larger deficit in your projected time. Which I'm thinking now, like, oh, do we just not taper anymore? Should we just not taper that last week because it's too close to the marathon?
Save the taper. Yeah, but so the summary is like you have more. Obviously, you have more time off your training. You don't get as much training in. And interestingly, if you have that period of training off later in your training than earlier in your training, then that's a greater finish time cost. I would have thought, and I don't know if they've done this, but there's a real sweet spot of training where you can miss like sort of almost like the money miles, the ones that really matter. So if you let's say you miss 10 days right at the beginning of your build-up, or 10 days right at the end of your build-up, does that arguably make the same difference as missing 10 days where you might miss a critical long run, in the middle of your build-up? And the other thing that I was struck by was often when you miss time, so let's say you miss 10 consecutive days of training, well, then you actually don't slot straight back into your training plan at the point at which you left off, right? It can take you 10 more days to get back into the plan and reach the point at which you left off. So theoretically, there's a 20-day gap of continuity in your plan.
Interesting. So there's so many nuances to this, but listeners should definitely check out this article. But if you are one of those people that have missed some training days, let's just focus now, February, on consistency, right? This article shows us consistency is the best. So whether you're playing with the percentages or the numbers of days missed, really, let's just try to focus on the consistency of your training going forward. So those numbers of missed days don't grow from here until marathon day. So this is how you can get on top of today is prioritizing that run, staying healthy, scheduling properly, making sure if you are booking travel that you have time to get your training in before or after you land. So consistency. It's key, and it's what you should focus on from here until race day.
Perfect.
Today's guest, Mary Ngugi, is fast and philanthropic. While she is still building her own career as a professional runner, she has found the time, passion, and energy to create the Women's Athletics Alliance and Nala Track Club in Kenya, creating a safe environment for young girls to thrive in this sport. She is the silver and bronze medalist at the World Half Marathon Championships and has 2 podium finishes at the Boston Marathon, where we'll see her toe the line again this April. Mary, welcome to Marathon Talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Your life offers so much to talk about in such a little amount of time. So I want to be mindful of our half hour together. It's been so much fun watching you race and see all the work that you do with the young girls back in Kenya. But I wanted to start at the beginning because when you were 17 years old, you joined a high school training group. Can you tell us more about that opportunity and how that came to be?
Yeah, I'll say how it came to be. It's actually a surprise how it came to be because when I was young, I wasn't like those people who grew up knowing what they want to be. Like, oh, I want to be an athlete when I grow up. I had no idea I would ever be a good athlete. The community I come from is like different community from like the communities in Rift Valley where their life, like they grow up seeing athletes every day on the street. Where I came from, there's no athletes on the street or anyone else, anyone I knew who was an athlete. The only person I would say I knew was Kadri Dereva because I used to watch her and she comes from Central as just as me. So that's why I was interested in her because I was like, oh, she's someone from my tribe and from my region and she's doing this. But I actually never thought I would ever be an athlete myself. But I was fast. When I went to the shop, my mom would send me to the shop. I was very fast and I did like running. So even at school, when we had like inter-classes competition, I'll just join just for the fun. And sometimes I'll beat the boys. So when it came to like school competition, the teachers were like, well, we think you can do this. Maybe you want to represent our school in the next division. And I was like, yeah, why not? It's a weekend off. I get a weekend off from going to the farm or staying at home. It's like fun for me. That was more like the motivation, not going to run. So that's how I started. I would go and I won like the division. Then I went to the regionals and I won and I made it to the nationals where I was in Form 2. I was like, wow, how did that even happen? I didn't even have running shoes. I've done barefoot wearing like funny like jeans shorts.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's this coach who saw me like qualify for the nationals and he was like, wow, you mean you've never trained in your life? And I don't even know. If someone told me to do a 400, I don't know how I'm supposed to do a 400 or what 1K means. It's like, I have a camp. Do you want to join? And so I was like, yeah, well, I'll have to talk to my parents. And I did go back and talk to my parents. And they were okay, you can join it. And I was in Form 2. That was 2005. I was 16 then. So I joined the camp and well, that's how my journey started.
Wow, it's such a young age. I think you should bring back the jean shorts. Yes. If anybody has watched Mary run, she's very fashionable. So I think you should bring back the jean shorts. That might be a good look. I'm not sure how chafing would go in the later stages of the marathon, but I have heard you say on previous podcasts that you prefer miles to farm work, and I just got a kick out of that was kind of some of your motivation when the going gets hard in those miles. Well, this is better than farm work, right?
Oh, definitely. It's better than farm work. It's going to be if it goes so far, it'll be 2 hours and the farm will have to be there from 9 to 4. So, I'll definitely be of my life than working on the farm. So yeah, it's kind of motivation for me.
Yeah, gosh. It's hard to imagine that marathon training and racing is less demanding than farm work, but I'll take your word for it. You mentioned Catherine Deriba. She has been right in front of me in so many races, most notably when she earned the silver medal at the Athens Olympics. But she is such a great ambassador to all women's athletics. I think she's so motivated. Her, and when I was coming up through the scene, was also Tegla LaRoupe, who was also a great mentor to me. So those two women I still look up to this day because they continue to give back to the sport in so many ways. But right now, you're that mentor for so many. And I think it's so amazing that as you're building your own career, that you're also making these opportunities available for young women. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to you? Why, when you still have to give so much to your own career, did you start the Women's Athletic Alliance and NALA Track Club?
Well, you say that some people like Tekla Rupio or Catherine Denver, I don't think I can even come close to be to like any of them. But yeah, I try. We just have to try and give what we can, So with Women Athletics Alliance and NARA, I believe it's better like to start it when I'm still running because this way I have a platform. I have a good platform and also I can be able to talk to the girls and they can relate because they see me as an athlete. So it's easier for them to relate rather than just someone talking to them. They're like, oh, she doesn't even know how this feels or But because I'm still training and I'm still feeling the same pain they're feeling, it's easy for me to relate with them. So I think this is a great opportunity for me to be actually doing that. It's not easy because I have to concentrate on my training. It's time consuming and sometimes it gets stressful, but it's actually rewarding and it's something I'm very proud of. So with women athletics, this is something I've since I joined the camp and I've seen all the challenges and I know all the challenges that young girls go through because I've been there and to be honest, I'm still there. I know all the challenges that the girls are going through and I've always wanted to do something to give back to the girls, to give back to the community, something like even when I retire, I look back and I'm like, I wasn't just an athlete. I did something. Maybe I changed someone's life. And because like I said, I've always wanted to do something. I never knew like, what could I do or where do I start until when Agnes Tirop died and they were like, wow, this is the time. And if I don't do anything now, I'm never going to do it. Or are we going to wait for someone else to be killed or for us to start something? And that's why we started Women Athletics, to try to empower women, to try to mentor them and give them the tools they need to deal with life, not just in athletics, but outside, because we all have a life outside athletics. We're not just athletes. We are also people, and we live in community with people, how to deal with people and issues that come, like all the challenges that we face. So that's the reason we started Women Athletics, and Women Athletics give birth to NARA because I wanted to not just mentor and empower through speaking, but also wanted to do something that would actually change the lives of these girls. And that's why I'll say me and some of my friends who have helped me set NARA and also my husband, that's why we set up NARA to give these girls a safe space for them to develop, to flourish, and also to educate them, give them the tools that they need, pay for their school fees so that they can be able to deal with life, not just in athletics, outside athletics. Even when they have someone like you give them an interview, they know how to answer a question, or maybe they're signing contracts or dealing with races, they know what to expect. And also through empowerment, when these girls are empowered, I'm sure they'll feel like they are equal and they will demand more equality. And also in NARA, it's not just about the girls, we're also developing female coaches, because that is one of the biggest problem I think we have in Kenya in athletics. There's no female coaches. Maybe there's one or two, but like even me growing up until now, I've never seen a female coach at the track with a watch from where I come from. I've never been coached by a female coach, which I think is a challenge for all the girls, because even when you're facing challenges or someone is trying to intimidate you, where would you go? You have no one to run to. When you have issues like only female can deal with, you can just go to your male coach and tell them about them. So yeah, with NARA, we're not just housing girls or trying to develop athletics. We are also trying to develop female coaches, because I believe when there's more female coaches, we will have a voice and we'll demand more equality in the sports.
Right. I even saw on your Instagram a while back that you were looking for a female photographer to help document this journey that these young girls are on. You're offering them physical, emotional, and educational development, which is priceless. And, for our listeners, I just want to reiterate that all of this work that Mary is doing with the Women's Athletics Alliance and NALA was really motivated from the death of your good friend, Agnes Tirop. She's a 2-time world champion who was murdered by her husband. It seemed like it was the last straw for a lot of you Kenyan women that really hit home, because it wasn't something new. It was something that was systemic that you were trying to change. And your husband, Chris Cooper, obviously helping supportive. So the challenges that Kenyan women face, but you also know the support because you got that from your family and from your husband. So can you talk to what your biggest challenges are in this adventure and also who your greatest allies are?
Well, it's challenges because, I'm still active in my running. So like I said, it's time consuming. Sometimes I'm so tired. I'm like, I can't do this. And also, we know maybe there's no support from people. There are people who just, you're just doing this because you want to be for what maybe I have my own reason. Maybe you're trying to be famous. I'm like, no, there's people all outside there who always see us as the problem. There's people who always say we women are the problem, that it's not the men in the community. Because they feel like when I started women athletics, some people thought it was an attack on men, which is not, because I am a wife, I have a husband, I have like 7 brothers, I have a male coach, so I don't have a problem with with men. I'm just trying to help girls, but some people will attack me, see as if I'm trying to attack men in one way or the other, which I am not. And also, it's been challenging, like this how we started Nara, because at first it was hard with funding and everything. It was a little bit hard, and like like anything, when it's starting, it's always a challenge to get it set up. But well, I think it's all worth it.
Are you able to accept donations?
No, I cannot accept donation because this is not a charity.
Okay. Is it a dream to get that charity aspect?
I need funding from like people who want to partner with us, like to support the camp and to support the girls and to help the female coaches, but it's not a charity. So someone cannot come and say, okay, we're going to donate this amount of money, because it's actually very hard to start. But it's a process. Start a charity in Kenya, it's such a big process, and it's so also very expensive, because you have to have members of like board and you have to pay them and all of these things. But we are still looking for partners who want to fund, and they can be partners with us.
That's great. So searching for more reliable partnerships currently.
Yeah. And that is that, like when it comes to funding and all those things, that's where my husband comes in, because I'm not the best in those things. He tries to help.
Yeah, well, it takes a team.
It takes a team, yeah.
Right. And Kenya for years has shown how powerful a team can be, right? With all these training camps, now female training camps, thanks to you. I think Nala is the first all-female training group in Kenya, which is so exciting. So talk to the aspect of team, training with others, and how it brings out the best in you.
Yeah, I'm a person who believes in teamwork. I hate training alone. Like sometimes I'm in the UK and I have a session and I dread it the whole night. I can't believe I'm training alone. I hate it because I'm not used to it. So I started learning. I've always had a team. I've always had a group. Even if you walk outside in the morning, at whatever the time, you see someone running and you can just join them. So I believe teamwork is key to success. You need someone to push you. You need someone to encourage you. Even so, like there's times when you wake up, you're like, I don't want to train, but you know there's someone waiting for you at the road, so you have to do it, and it kind of like makes you desperate because you don't want to let your teammate down, and it helps you so much. There are times when you just want to relax. Oh, I'm just gonna do a slow 1K, but then you have a team, and you're no, this is the pace we are doing. So I believe in teamwork. And it's key to success for me. I think without my team allowing me, I wouldn't be who I am right now.
I would agree. I can think of a million excuses if I have to get out there by myself and put in the miles. But when I'm meeting my teammates on a daily basis, it gives us a sense of responsibility and holds us accountable. And on a bad day, they could lift your spirits. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you mentioned your coach, Steve Cram. He's the British 1500 meter runner. I think he was world champion in 1983.
Yeah, he was in 1500 meters, yeah.
Yeah, and an Olympic silver medalist from the 1984 games in Los Angeles, which is just a 4-hour drive from where I live. I mean, you're a very successful marathon runner being coached by a 1500 meter runner. Can you talk to the aspect of the importance of adding speed work? Because a lot of our listeners, they're marathon runners and they know the importance of a long run, but can you talk to the importance of keeping speed work in your training routine?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like you have speed in the legs. Like my first 2 marathons, because I wasn't trained by Steve, I was maybe having 1 speed session in a week and loads of long runs. And I honestly hated the marathon then. I found it so hard. It was so hard. I even felt like, oh, I'm giving up. I'm never doing a marathon. Maybe this is time for me to quit running. And So when I switched my training and I started working with Steve, and it's more about like, I think I'm focusing more on speed because I'm I'm training more like the speed sessions I'm doing are more like a 10K or a half marathoner. They help me so much in the marathon because even when I'm doing my long runs, they feel so easy because I have that speed in my legs. And I think I am, when with that kind of speed, I'm ready for any race. Like even if you have surges in the race, I can react to them. And it's not just because the marathon has, before people thought I'm not the best at this because I'm not a coach, but I'm talking about from my own experience. Before the marathon, people used to be like 2:30 or whatever, so it was fine. You can just do long runs and maybe a couple of speed sessions. But now people are actually running 2:14 or 2:18, and to keep up with them, you need loads of speed. You need to have that speed in your head so you can just focus on the mileage on the long runs. Yeah. I don't
Right.
know if that was, I'm sure that was a terrible answer, but well.
No, it's great because long runs, just putting in miles could not only be hard on us, but it could also be really boring. And speed work is a little more engaging mentally, but also it gives you efficiency. It helps with injury prevention. It's comfortable when you drop back down to marathon pace. There's a million reasons why speed work is delicious in a marathon.
It also makes the marathon training less boring, to be honest. You don't want to be just doing miles and miles of long runs every day. You need to do something different, you know. I like the feeling when I hit a certain pace, and like when I was fast training for my first marathon, I got so slow. I couldn't do like a sub 310K, and I was like, I wish I want that feeling again where I go like 3 flat K, and I'm so happy because I'm doing it when I'm running. I'm maybe 65, 400. You know, that feeling, I missed it. And so when you have that in the marathon, when you can still run that fast and you can still do your long runs, it makes it less boring. It becomes more interesting. And the funny thing with me, the faster I get on the speed session, the easier the long runs feels. And I get to enjoy them because I can just chat all through at that 5K.
That's great. And so, Mary, your first marathon was the 2019 Boston Marathon, where you're seventh. Since working with Steve and adding that speed work, you've been second and third. What is it going to take to win this race?
That's a hard question because sometimes I'm like, you might have what it takes to win the marathon, but you don't know what someone else has. So what I try to do is try to focus on myself as much, try to make sure I do my training as I get to the start line as fit as possible and as healthy as possible, in a better place mentally everywhere. And if then I have a chance, I go there knowing I have a chance to win this. I don't want to get to a race where I've not trained well, I'm measured or something. So I give my best in training. I trust in Steve. He knows what I need to get there. He knows what I need to go there and challenge for a win, not just go there just for the sake of, I'm running Boston. I actually want to go there and win it because I've been second, I've been third. So obviously I want to win it. And I believe Steve has what it takes to get me there. And I trust him. And when he gives me my session, I just give it my all in my training, and I try to recover as good as much as possible and try to be ready and fuel well for the marathon.
You know what I've learned from watching Edna Kiplagat perform so well over the years in Boston is that everybody's hurting at the end of the race, right? Everybody is struggling and fatigued and questioning their ability in that last 5 kilometers. But Edna seems to know that, and she just sticks with it, right? Like everyone's hurting, and I just have to continue that march to the finish line. And it's really been so impressive to watch her, knowing that everybody's struggling in that moment, but you don't want to be the one that gives up mentally because everybody's physically hurting. You just got to mentally keep getting to that finish line. It's something she does beautifully.
Yeah, and I've not just watched her. I've raced.
Yes,
the last 2 races in Boston, we have raced against each other. The last 5K, in 2021, she beat me and I beat her last year. So I know what it takes, and she is someone I respect so much. I love her and I respect her because I know for her to be the age she is and how long she's been in the sport, it's just so much discipline. I know, I don't even know what to say, but I respect her for that. And I've learned so much that has to Boston from Edna because I've raced with her and she kept talking to me. She's pushed me so much. And I know what it takes to go to Boston and win it because I think I've learned from the best, like from Edna, just watching her and racing alongside her, which is something I appreciate very much. And yeah, I think Boston is a course where you don't want to be dead the last 5K because that can change a lot of things.
Right.
So yeah, from learning from Edna, she's someone who just tells you, this is Boston. Don't go crazy with everyone because you got to pay for it. And she has raced there for so many years. So I trust her. And sometimes I just keep up with her. And she's kind of like mentors me through the race.
It's such a testament to the sense of community that the marathon is, that here is this great competitor, but she's also giving you advice. And it's fair that you can both respect her and beat her, right? You could do both.
Yeah. And when I beat her, I'm like, well, you have taught me well. So.
Yes, I love that.
She should be proud I beat her as well.
That's great. It's like she's raising another marathon runner.
Yeah.
So with training for Boston and the Women's Athletic Alliance and NOLA Track Club, do you have any free time in your day and how do you spend it? What gives you joy in your day?
Yeah, I have lots of training. I have lots of free time during my day because I usually wake up really early for my sessions. And like if I'm not doing a speed session by probably 7:30, I'm done with my session. And maybe I have another session maybe I have gym allowed 2 and maybe a short evening run. So in between, I have lots of time. I like to sleep or I just watch movie and listen to music. When I'm not visiting the camp, I love visiting the camp because these girls, when I see them, they make me so happy. And it's nice. We chat with them. I'm more like a sister to them. So they're always joking around with me. Sometimes they come to my house and just joke around. But there's time when I try to avoid that because I know I need to relax. I need to rest for my training because the marathon, you know it better than anyone. The marathon can be a bit crazy and I need all the time. I need all the recovery I can get. So yeah, in between, I do have my free times in between and I like to just, if I'm not sleeping, because I sleep a lot, I'll be watching a movie or listening to music.
Sleep is such a great recovery tool. What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to gospel music.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Getting some higher inspiration.
It calms me down and yeah, I get that high inspiration, yeah. The times when I want to give up, but when I listen to it, it gives me that, I'm able to continue fighting.
Amazing. You talked about getting a joy from watching the women within the NOLA Track Club. What do you see in their development? What makes you proud? Because some of them may come to you quiet and shy without any confidence whatsoever, and to see that build, what do you see in that process?
It's amazing because the first time when the girls come to the camp, they're always shy. They don't want to talk to me. But then when we start talking, and I'm like, you need to be confident in life. And then after a few weeks, then they're like, the one who actually starting a conversation with me, the one asking me a question, the ones who joking with me. It's amazing because now this is what I want to see. I want to see girls who are confident enough to not be afraid to ask something, to not be afraid to say something, because that's like what we are trying to achieve. And also seeing them at the track and like seeing them work hard. Sometimes I'm like, I look at their faces when they're training and I feel bad. I'm like, oh, geez, they're hurting so much. I feel bad for them. But then I'm like, yeah, they need that because if they want to be someone in athletics, if they want to join the world championship, they have to go through that. So sometimes it's mixed emotions for me. I don't know how to feel. I don't know if to pity them or to be like aggressive with them. So it's always a mixed emotion. But when I see them, even when I'm tired, they make me forget about all my worries. They make me forget about all my problems. I just get lost in that moment. And I would say it's like the most amazing things I've ever done. And I'll do it all over again. Just to have those moments with the girls.
That's so beautiful. And really a lot of that struggle in running and overcoming that struggle or completing the workout, even though you're totally fatigued, really just reinforces to the girls that the power comes from within them, that nobody needs to fix this for them, that they have the ability and the power to overcome and to get to that finish line. And that gives them that lesson in life, right? It's not just about running. It's giving them that same feedback in life. Do you recruit young women or do they come to you for the track club?
No, we recruit them. We have like, I would say we have like a system where we have like school teachers who are helping us with the girls. They would like see some girls who they think are good and like are really talented, and maybe you have them do some time trials, and that we'll see someone performing in a certain event and they don't have a camp and they wish to join us. So yes, we can go to them, but they also come to us. But there's a process. We just don't take anyone, because as much as we want to support the girls, we also want NARA to be a higher performance camp. We want this to lead by example, that we're not just housing girls. We also like trying as much as possible to support their dreams, to support them in athletics as well.
Right. And male superiority is not new in society, in global society, but it's your hope that male leaders in your community see that female successes aren't a threat, but actually a great asset. They elevate individuals, they elevate the family, the farms, the villages. Do you feel it's becoming more accepted, or do you think you have a long way to go?
Yeah, it's still a long way to go, but it starts with one step. And I feel like right now, there's some people who will say, oh, we like what you're doing. Maybe not athletics, not necessarily in athletics, but even the male who follows me on Instagram, who follows me on Facebook, they're like supporting what we are doing, and they're happy with what we are doing. And like you said, I know when women are empowered community, it changes a whole home. So this is not an attack on men.
Right. Everybody is elevated in the process. When
Everybody is elevated. Even you have a powerful woman in the house, that house becomes like, I don't know how to explain it, but it changes.
right. And so as we wrap up our chat, Mary, where do you need more support? You said that right now you're focused on partnerships. So what other partnerships would you like to see?
Yeah, I'd like to have more funding for the camp, because as I said, we're not just developing them in athletics. We also want to develop them in like education wise. And we have some girls at school. We are paying for the school fees. We supporting them in every way: food, housing. We also have a female coach, which for her to like become a world class coach, we need so much money to pay for coaching and all those things that she needs to meet the standard that makes her like a qualified coach. So we need funding in so many areas just to support these girls, because it's not free. Whatever their food, their school, their everything they need.
So are you hoping that funding comes from the government or Athletics Kenya? Is that what you're hoping?
No. I don't think it will come from the government or Athletics Kenya. That's not what I'm hoping. It might come from companies like maybe sports companies, maybe watches companies that are involved in athletics. That's would be more like it. But I'm not expecting help from Athletics Kenya or the government.
Right. And so if anybody wants to spread the word, you can follow all of Mary's ventures on Instagram at Mary Ngugi, or at Women's Athletic Alliance, or at Nala Track Club.
Yep.
All of those Instagram handles will get you inspired and fired up and wanting to be a part of this great adventure. She has the Women's Athletic Alliance, Nala Track Club. Mary, you're a mom, a professional athlete. How on earth do you balance it? Your daughter is 12 years old. What an impressionable time for her. Do you think she understands all the work that you're doing?
Oh, she does understand. She's always asking me, Mom, how are the girls? And she loves, when she's in Kenya, she loves going to the camp. She's like friends, even the girls at the camp are always like, oh, can you tell Aunt to call us? And sometimes she likes to go to the track and race them. She did beat one girl at 200, and oh my God, I couldn't hear the end of it. And she was just so happy. So she understands it, and she's always asking, Mom, even when I was a little kid, are you taking this for the girls? Are you buying this for the girls? So yeah, she understands it and she loves it.
Oh, she's a nurturer just like you. That's fantastic. Mary, good luck in Boston. I know with the listeners on this podcast that you have gained a lot of fans with all that you're doing. Thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you in Beantown.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me this platform to talk about what we are doing.
It is such a pleasure.
It's mine as well.
Right, that's it for this episode of Marathon Talk. Deena, last time we spoke, we found out that we share our birthdays in the same week, right? There's only a week between us. You're a little teeny bit younger than I am, but I'm the 7th of Feb and you're the 14th, right?
That is correct. And a birthday coming up. Luckily, it's going to be mellow. It's a big 50, so I feel like it's big, but it is going to be a mellow birthday, just a nice meal with my family. My family is coming to visit after my birthday, and I look forward to spoiling my niece and nephew and maybe making the world's best snowman and taking them sledding on a gondola ride up the mountain. I love to entertain, so I'm really excited for my family to come up. But also, birthdays are another time to reset for you. We have January 1st when we make resolutions and promises and plan our year out. Birthdays are another way to do that. So I'm looking forward to 50 feeling fantastic and the next 50 years better than the first. So super excited.
Well, are you like, how good are you with going, I'm okay with it being the next decade? Are you kind of through that? You're like, yeah, I'm 50. Because then you sort of said, oh, it's my 50th next year, next week, like, are you good now with just publicly declaring you're 50?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with aging. I think it's a beautiful process, and it is whatever we want it to be, right? It's ours to unfold. So I'm really excited about it.
Great. Well, happy birthday for February the 14th. It's my birthday on February the 7th. So by the time the show comes out, I will have just had my birthday and you will be just about to have yours. I will be celebrating my 51st and probably like you. Shall I tell you what I'm doing?
I'm dying to know.
I'm going axe throwing.
That is so fun. I've done it before. I did it this past year.
Yeah.
It is really fun.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. That's what I'm doing, going axe throwing.
Axe throwing. Are you throwing 51 axes? Is that how you celebrate? Because a lot of people run their age in miles.
Yeah, I could throw 51 axes. I don't know how many I get to throw. Do you get to throw them at things? Or
no, Martin, how
does it work?
You throw it straight ahead at the target. You don't throw it anywhere else.
It's half term coming up here in the UK, so it means our kids are off school. I've also gone and got myself a bike, which is something I haven't had for a while. So hopefully I shall be out doing a little bit of pedaling. So yeah, it's birthdays all round at Marathon Talk. Whatever you're doing, enjoy the run wherever it takes you. Thanks for listening.